Welcome to Violin Adventures number 260. Well, we start off with a repair. Then, of course, you have to have a little break, a little bit of ASMR, right? And then after that, we have in-shop quiz, a repair quiz. And then all the regulars. So hope you enjoy. Okay, we've got here a beautiful older violin, and right after the player got done playing and went to put it in her case, the neck came loose. Isn't that wonderful that it didn't come loose while she was playing? But what we've got to determine now is if the block is loose, then we need to get the block stabilized first. So I'm going to take this down and see what the trouble is. And a shout out to one of my viewers out here that's made these beautiful little tools that feel wonderful in the hand, and for some reason they don't get lost like the plastic ones do. So these are really nice and they work really well. So thank you for these. Get the chin rest off. And I'm gonna loosen these strings, get the tail piece off. That is just so loose. Feels like the block is moving. Yes. Okay. So that came right off. See what was moving. No? Okay, so the ribs were moving a bit. Oh no, I see. So the block split, not in the normal place, but with the ribs. The ribs have moved up. Okay, so I found the problem. There was a little bump here in the heel, and so it couldn't have 100% contact. So eventually, over the years, that movement is just going to make it come loose again. So I'm going to remove this bump in the heel and try to get the best contact we can get. So instead of just gluing it back in, we want to find the problem and see if we can fix it. So that's looking a little bit better. Okay, I've got my hot Tide glue, and outside it is snowing. It was quite a surprise because I checked the weather yesterday and it didn't show any snow, and now we're going to have a few hours of snow. But while it's snowing, we can get to work here on this old violin. We're just doing a simple repair. We're just going to reset the neck, and the little saddle came off down here on the bottom, so I'm going to put that back on. And on the top here, I secured the loose pieces of wood. Everything looks good. It had the whole weekend to dry. And now we're going to put the neck in where it goes. And hopefully this will hold for another couple hundred years at least, maybe 3 or 4 more. Yeah, that looks good. We're gonna leave it just like that. Clean off the glue. Okay. So often happens where the hole for the string reaches across to the other cheek of the peg box, so that it makes it really hard to tune, and eventually that can break out the other side. So I am going to re-drill a hole here. Now some ASMR. Now for the quiz. Okay, here's our Appalachian mountain, and it has grown nice and high, but we need to turn our attention to all the repairs. And I thought, since I haven't had a chance to really record things, because I've been doing rehairs and lots of little repairs, which include bridges and setting up sound posts and all that kind of thing, which is not very easy to show on the camera. I think what we'll do today is I'm going to take you around to the violins, and you can mention in the comments, how do we repair this one? And we have 1, 2, and 3. So let's get started. Okay, first off, we have a viola. Okay, that's number 1. What's the problem? What's the problem here? If you know what it is, put it in the comments. Number 1. What's the problem with the viola? Now, number 2. Here's number 2. Now, clearly, the neck is off, right? But the button is broken. Do we just glue this back together? So the question for number 2, do we glue it back together? Yes or no? Or is there something we need to do before we glue it together? Okay, we're at number 3. Not only do we have sound in here, but look up close at this. Do you see all these cracks in there moving? There's also a crack under here and a crack in here. Okay, what would you do to repair this problem. That's number 3. Okay, now I said there were 3, but there's also a 4th. The 4th one is pretty exciting. Let's take a look. Here's the 4th violin. It is very old and it's got a separated neck. So I'm going to go ahead, open this up, and let's see what it looks like inside. Okay, this is partly open already, so hopefully this won't be too hard to open. Okay. Looking inside there, that is really dried out. And it's been repaired a few times. Very interesting. Well, what my job to do right now is to see if I can date this, and then we'll see about what we're going to do on the repairs. Oh, we always have a dust ball in there. And let's see what this says. 18. Okay, the label says 1850 Regard Rubus. So I'm going to look that up and see if I can find anything on this violin, but I would definitely think it's at least from the mid 1800s. Okay, well, this is our number 1 that had the sound post rolling around in it. So you probably guessed it already. The sound post was rolling around and it was too tall to put it where it needed to go. So I've cut it down just a little bit. But before I do that, you can see how this has a lot of little scratches on it. So I've got an old cotton rag here, 100% cotton. And I'm just going to pour a lot of polish onto the rag. Can you see all those scratches on there? Look at that side. Looks so much better. There. Let's make this look really nice. All right. You can set this up and we'll be ready to go. Oh yes, before I tighten the strings, I noticed that the seam is open right down here. So we're going to glue that shut real quick. Okay, I've got my hot hide glue. That's the only glue you want to use on a stringed instrument, is hot hide glue. Okay, this one, as soon as it dries, we'll be ready to go. Okay, on this next repair, we're going to put in a reinforcement piece and then glue the button back on. And the really good thing is, if you can save the little pieces that break off, little chips of wood when something breaks, that makes the repair So much cheaper and easier. Put the extra pieces on a piece of tape or in a little tiny jar, some way to keep it safe, and then we can glue them right back. We've got the button all supported. We're going to let this dry a good 24 hours and then we can reset the neck. Time for a story. Okay, we're continuing our reading. We will now direct our attention to France. Towards the latter end of the 16th century, the lute was a very favorite and general instrument. About the year 1577, the violin was introduced by Baltasarini, a then celebrated performer, who was sent at the head of a band of performers and was appointed valet to the princess. Beyond this, little appears to be known of him. We have elsewhere had occasion to refer to the band of 24 violins of Louis XIV. The leader of this band was a Florentine named Lully, who was instrumental in introducing the Italian music into France, thus giving to that country a new musical existence. The high standard then prevailing in Italy, he, however, failed to maintain, but be this as it may, the French seem to have acquired a kind of distinctive reputation as performers. For Mr. Cheryl says, quote, "With respect to the style in which the French have real and undisputed merit, and indeed in many respects have a marked superiority, is the instrumental in general, and especially that of the violin. The excellence of the 24 violins of Louis XIV, formed by Lully and of other violinists, was highly spoken of so far back as the 17th century. And he adds, I do not, however, know how to reconcile these facts with the following remark of Corre, published in 1750, and this is quoting Corre. At the commencement of this century, music was very dull and slow, etc. The end of the quote. When Corelli's sonatas were first brought from Rome about 1715, nobody in Paris could play them. The Duke of Orleans, then regent, being a great amateur of music and wishing to hear them, was obliged to have them sung by 3 voices. The violinists then began to study them, and at the expiration of some years, 3 were found who could play them. Baptiste, one of these, went to Rome to study them under Corelli himself, and Cheryl, continuing, says, be this as it may, since that period instrumental music has been studied with ardor by the French, and they have made astonishing progress in it. France has now an excellent school for the violin, founded upon that of Italy. It seems rather astonishing to believe that singers could be found to sing that which took a violinist years of practice to perform, especially in view of the fact that France had at that period almost neglected the vocal art, and we must regard Corre's criticism as somewhat biased. Notwithstanding, he was a furious partisan of the French school of music. No doubt the French had to supply their repertoires of chamber music from the Italian composers. The music of France in Lully's time being mostly composed for the lyric drama, which was then greatly in vogue. The first to call into existence a French school was Juan-Marie Leclerc, who received his instructions from an Italian. He does not, however, appear to have formed any great performers, owing probably to the European fame of the great Italian masters. According to the historian, the real founder of the French school was Pierre Gavinis, born in 1726. Be this so or not, he certainly produced some fine masters. Indeed, during the 18th century, France was productive of the finest violinists that have been heard. We have only to mention such names as Barthélemy, Rodet, Kreutzer, Lafon, Belot, Habeneck, and Debarot in proof of this assertion. And that's where we'll stop. Next, what are we doing? Okay, next there's just a little bit more on the records in France, and then we'll move on to Germany. Okay, it looks like Germany is the last one. So we might finish this up next time, we'll see. The Hebrew minute. Yadati ki kol tochal velo yibatzer mimaka metzima. I know that you can do all things, everything, and that no thought or plan can be made secret or withholden from you. If you know where this is found, please leave it in the comments below. Okay, it is Friday. You and I have to go out. So let's go. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Let's see how deep it is and what the crunch is like. Well, I would say that's probably about 4 to 6 inches. Oh, it's nice to see the creek flowing. Beautiful sight. Well, let's go inside and see what's going on. Well, there on the right you can see the Appalachian Mountain. This week we finished the inside of the top. The next thing to do will be the sound holes, and the bass bar. Here on this violin we got the support block in, and now we just need to fit the neck. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your wonderful comments, for your thumbs up, and thank you to the new subscribers. And until next time, bye!